Our guy Ed Prather joins us right now. Ed, we'll get into the Broncos in a second, but the trade deadline for the Rockies is upon us. All right, just be honest. Be honest. Be honest. Just don't lie to me, okay?
Right.
Whatever you do, don't lie to me.
I never would.
Okay. Did you know we had a player called Nick Mears or Jalen Beeks on the Rockies?
No, you know me well. I mean, like you're setting me up for failure here.
No, I'm not. Just be honest.
No.
So the answer is no.
I know like three or four guys.
All right, so we traded two guys. Traded two guys you've never heard of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying it's just, who cares? I mean,
how do we do?
Not good. Not good. We got a bag of garbage, some Chick-fil-A coupons, and some minor leaguers. I mean, it's nothing. We got what we did. Mears and Beeks were both older players without any kind of future with the team itself. So instead of getting absolutely nothing as their contracts expired, they got
the Chick-fil-A coupons.
Right. You get something maybe you can use later.
I mean, what is the trajectory of this team? I mean, are we tracking at the bottom for the
these two guys that they did trade were pitchers, and they got pitchers for pitchers, but minor leaguers. So it's not position players. The way it's tracking is there's some really good, strong, big bat young talent coming up in terms of position players. In terms of we're a little loopy in the catching department, so we'll see there. But it's always been about pitching, Ed, and that's that. I shouldn't go on so much about the Rockies.
No,
they play the Angels tonight. It's just my little pet passion, I guess.
You're educating us, and I need that, especially when it comes to the Rockies. I gotta say, I mean, I've been trying to keep up with the Olympics. We've got it on in the office, but I haven't been great. I think that we're tied, or as of yesterday afternoon, we were tied for medal count. China had the edge in golds. Does that sound right? Or
Sure. Let's win the Olympics. Let's win everything, Ed. We might as well. If there's a count, let's count the highest. What Olympic sports have you really been into? I'll tell you, I know what I was into for sure last night, but what have you been into?
I gotta say, we have it on in the background, but every time that we get the Olympics to roll around, I mean, you got your sports in the summer and the winter. I grew up a competitive swimmer. And there you go. Some of the sprints were coming up in, I think like this morning at 3 a.m. So they'll replay that. And I also read that Ledecky got beat again by the Australian gal, which is, it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, I would say swimming's my go-to. But I kind of love it all, I gotta say.
Well, Katie Ledecky, her number one sport is the 1500, right? She didn't get beat at the 1500, did she?
No, she got beat in the 400. So it's a longer distance race, and I think that there was a lot, I guess, to some extent, trying to go back and right the ship. Disappointing, And she didn't get second; she got third. But hey, I mean, everybody there is qualified at the highest level, right?
And I'm desperately trying to figure out how to swim better. It's a joke because I do want to be competitive in triathlon. I do want to do a triathlon before the end of the summer, and I want to do a travel triathlon sometime in the fall, somewhere warm.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, that's the hope. And the cycling I got. I'm good. The running, I'm all right. I could be better.
I mean, I know you well enough. You're a fit guy, and I'll tell you what. You and I are both okay, good enough at running. I think. I need help on the bicycle, and I'm happy to help you with a couple of things in swimming. I mean, just the efficiency, right? And especially if you're in any kind of open water, even a lake. I mean, it just first of all, you're getting punched and kicked, and then you've got to have a consistent stroke and something that's efficient, or else you get out of the water and you can barely get on the bike.
The funniest part is watching me try to do flip turns in the pool, Ed. I mean, I'd
like to see that.
No, you wouldn't. It's better. It's better. but it's not it's not great. But I'm trying, Ed. Ed, I swear to God, I'm trying. Just like the Denver Broncos. What do you think so far about training camp, about the news that you hear?
Well, I wanted to take a deep dive. I didn't get a chance. So, I mean, give it to me in a nutshell. I hadn't seen anything sort of break, but that's probably because I'm not looking close enough.
Well, there's no necessarily breaking news. There's a minor injury to Brandon Jones, our hopefully starting safety who we got in free agency.
Okay.
But nothing, incredible. I think it's probably good that they've been through this amount of time with no serious injuries so far. There always seems to be one or two that pop up. That hasn't been the case. Bo Nix ran with the ones yesterday as they put on pads for the first time, and we don't know how long that's going to continue. At some point, Sean Payton, and I'm calling it a decision, not a competition. The reason why is it's a philosophical approach to how you want to take on the season. That's it, the end. At some point, Ed, you're going to go to Bo Nix. So the Teddy Bridgewater Drew Lock thing was much more of a flat out competition.
Sure.
Because they could have gone either way at any point for the long haul or the short term. But they're obviously going to go with Bo Nix at some point. He's going to get his shot. And he hasn't done anything to say he doesn't deserve that shot. He doesn't look like overly confused. He's not making terrible mistakes. I mean, he would have to be flailing and failing at such a high level not to get a shot. That hasn't happened. His shot is coming. But how do you really want to start the season? Do you want to start with Stidham, who was here last year and might know the system better? Do you want to see the upside of Zach Wilson? I mean, where could this possibly go? How do you know he's not Brock Purdy? How do you know he just hasn't been ruined by a terrible organization with the Jets? So it's not a competition. These guys aren't going to be profoundly more than what they already are, okay? And none of it's bad. None of it's bad, but none of it is like mind-blowing. None of them are out there just like, oh my God, well, that's clearly the best guy. And let me tell you, there have been moments in training camps in the past where it is abundantly clear who the best quarterback really is. So with all that information, what's your vibe?
Well, my feeling is, I've always liked Stidham. In fact, I went to a preseason game and saw him put like an insane beat down on Stetson Bennett after they killed TCU. And I mean, he looks sharp, but how accurate or even close to reality in regular season gameplay is preseason? Probably not close. Even I think that was the second game. I don't know if the third game is still the game, but I really like him. I want him to succeed. Someone like Simeon and Kyle the Sloter.
Sloter, there you go.
Oh my gosh, how do you not start this guy? But I think the reality is, if we know that we're going to Nix and we don't have that Peyton Manning, I'm not going to mention the Green Bay guy, but someone to usher Nix in, with leadership on the team, with experience. I don't think Stidham's that guy. Zach Wilson is certainly not that guy. To that point, I think you just go with Nix.
There you go.
And I told you before, I'm excited. I'm really excited because we're going to have to climb out of this mess with what the Russell Wilson deal did to us. But I mean, gosh, you got to take one step at a time. And I think our line is coming together. I think it's going to rank one of the top, and he's a pocket passer. And I don't know how big a concern that mid to long range throw is, but that's what I've heard is if there was anything. I mean, when you see the guy's experience, and especially with a top team in Oregon, it's exciting. I think you give him the ball and see what he can do. And I think you also, hopefully we've got a running game, because we can't put this on his shoulders, at least in my opinion, and have like severe failure type of moments early, because I don't want his head to get sideways.
Ed, it's one step at a time, just like the wonderful process of real estate. That's damn sure. And the Ed Prather Selling Series details how I sold my home with Ed Prather and Dominic and the 3As, Ashley, Abby, Andrea, and everybody involved with Ed. It's available now on Kill You With Truth. We know people have checked it out. We know they've seen it. Ed, what's the latest and the greatest? What's going on this week?
So today and tomorrow, the Fed is meeting. They won't meet again until early September. The money is on a September cut, and it's become so apparent, or hopeful, and people are assuming that this is going to happen. That we've seen rates are down below 4-month lows. We continue to see them drop. I don't think that the Fed is going to do anything today. And the reason I always talk about the Fed is just because there is a very strong historical correlation with mortgage rates and the Fed rate. If they were to make a cut today, I think you would see a craziness in the market. Again, it's not that we've got, oh my gosh, rates are 5% today. It is okay. We're looking better. We're talking about a soft landing. We're talking about mortgage rates coming down. And then, that gives people the peace of mind that in the future, there's going to be an opportunity to refinance. And even over the last couple of weeks, with these rates coming down a bit with the expectations, we've seen activity kick up in a major way. And that would be, showings, offers, and everything else.
How long should somebody we bought our home a few months ago. How long typically should you wait once you buy a home until you consider refinancing?
That's such a good question. And I think, you and I, as well as all of our clients, it's very much a mathematical equation, right? Because there's going to be a cost. And obviously the lenders we work with try to make it as easy as possible to refinance and limit those costs, but there's going to be a cost. So if it costs you $5,000 to refinance, what's going to be that monthly savings? And then, let's cross-reference that with how long are we going to be in the house? Okay. And so I think what usually happens is, if you get a 0.5 point, 0.75%, say below where you're at, the conversation is probably one to have. But also it depends, because if you said, what, we have this life change coming up and we're moving to Arizona in 18 months or a year, it's going to be tough to make it make sense unless rates were to drop to 3. And we know that that's most likely not going to happen. So every situation's different. And I think when you see that delta at a 0.5 point or more, it's probably time to start thinking about it.
All right, Ed, always great to visit with you. I love you, pal. We will get together next week. And anybody who wants to do the smartest thing possible when it comes to buying or selling a home, just read out as my guy, Ed. EdPrather.com, EdPrather.com. Ed, my favorite Olympic moment so far, the men's gymnastics team was incredible. Listen,
I love it.
They were amazing. And the funniest part is they had this nerdy looking guy, but he's like Superman. He's got these glasses on. He does one event, pommel horse. That's it. One event. And he looks like the biggest nerd in the world. And then he literally takes his glasses off. And it's Superman on the pommel horse is like the world's greatest pommel guy.
I love, gymnastics is such a, seeing Simone Biles come up, but I mean, just gymnastics in general is amazing. And with all the focus on the gals, it's awesome to hear that the men are stepping up.
Well, they won a bronze medal in the team competition, and that's the first time in 16 years they medaled. Wow. It was a big deal, and it was exciting to watch. And I get caught up in all the stories and all that sort of stuff. I just sit there and just
Superman, Clark Kent.
Superman
on the pommel horse. I mean, it's such the strength.
It's ridiculous.
I think with any of these events, it's just to see the top people in the world competing. There's just something special about that.
I realize with these gymnasts, they all can do pull-ups. All right, Ed, I'm going to let you go.
Love you, D-Mac. I'll see you soon, man.
All right, pal. See you, Ed Prather at edprather.com.